Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all had a great Christmas, and since it is the last day of the year, I figured it'd be a great time to recap some of my favorite makeovers from the year 2022. Okay, my very first project of 2022 was my biggest one, and that was the exterior of the house. This is what it looked like before I did anything to it, and before I could lime wash or paint or do anything that was going to make a big difference, I needed to clean the house. It was dirty and paint and things wouldn't adhere to that. So I went in and pressure washed all of the brick and got all of the mildew and dirt off, and then I was ready to lime wash. This was a very long learning process for me to figure out how to do this correctly, but I think that I got there in the end because I'm really happy with how the brick turned out. So I painted basically the entire house by hand. Now that the lime wash was done, I really wanted to focus on the siding on the front and the sides of the house and the trim. You can see here it had some damage, some rot, so I had to take a lot of things down and replace them with some new trim so it would be nice and fresh and we could paint over a solid surface instead of rotting wood. So I got some paint that I matched to the lime wash on the brick, and then I went ahead and painted all of the trim and all of the siding up top of the house in between the two sides of brick right here, and then I also painted the siding on the sides of the house to match. With the white lime wash and the white paint, the house was looking very washed out, so I wanted to bring some life back into it. So I wanted to try a process on the garage door where I painted it yellow and then added some stain on top of it, but I did not like how that ended up working out. It was looking super streaky, so I tested a bunch of paint colors you can see here, and I ended up going with a color called Lauriston Stone, and it's like a greenish grayish color that I absolutely fell in love with, and I thought that that really brought some life to the house and really stood out against the white brick. And after that, it was time that I turned my attention to this front porch area, and you can see it had some kind of rot on the trim here. So the first thing that I did was replace those pieces around the post right here with some PVC trim because it is never going to rot. It's not wood, so I don't have to worry about that ever again. So I tried the process here where I painted it yellow and then went over the top of it with some gel stain, and it ended up turning out so much better than the garage door, and I really like how it warmed up the exterior and gave it that wood element that I was looking for. And I know I'm kind of just breezing through everything right now, so if you want more details, I will link everything in the description box to the specific videos. And then the front door got a fresh coat of paint in iron ore, color that I love, and then I did this accent ceiling here on the porch, which I really think really added a lot to the porch, and I primed that and painted it white and then added a new light fixture, and then I added these numbers for the house, which I love. I got those off of Etsy and they make the house really visible from the street. And then I changed my mind about that white on the ceiling, and I used that Lauriston Stone color from the garage door and painted the ceiling, and that finished off the exterior, at least of the front of the house. Then I moved to the back of the house, which needed just as much work as the front. The trim was rotten in a lot of places, so that needed to be replaced. So I removed that and replaced it again with that composite trim so I don't ever have to worry about it rotting again, and framed out some of the windows really nice, and that got me to the point where I could start painting. And what I did first was go through and paint all of the trim a nice white color, the same as the trim on the front and sides of the house, but I wanted to give the back of the house a little bit of contrast from the front and the sides. So I went in with that Lauriston Stone color that I loved so much, and I painted all of the siding on the back of the house that color. And I love how it really pops against the white trim, and that's how the exterior of the house turned out, except for the porch, because then I needed to address the porch. And this was mainly done with just paint, this whole makeover. I went through, and if the trim wasn't rotten, it just needed to be caulked in a few places. So I went through and caulked, and then I painted everything with a fresh coat of white paint, and I will never not be amazed at the difference that paint makes to make everything look so updated and new. And the doors got the same iron ore color as the front door because it's one of my favorites and I thought it looked really nice. And then I replaced this trim on the bottom of these posts. They had used the decking boards, and I went in with that same composite trim material to match the posts a little bit better to frame them out at the bottom. And then the ceiling got a fresh coat of the white paint as well, and I may come back later and do something to the ceiling, but at the time that's just what I chose to do. And the swing got a new coat of paint, and then I just added some decor, some new rocking chairs and an outdoor rug, some plants, pillows, and this is how the porch turned out. After the porch was done, there was no time to rest because the deck needed some serious attention as well. So the first thing that I did was remove a lot of the railing. I ended up removing all of the railing, but I'm not going to put some of this back because it wasn't necessary to meet code, and I feel like it closed everything in. And then I just removed some of the rotten boards or that were kind of splintering too much, and I replaced those. And then I did find some termite damage in one of the side pieces, the main support, so that was fun. So I ended up having to replace that. And then I just got the deck completely structurally sound. It may have still been pretty ugly, but it was structurally sound at this point. And so then I went in with a deck product that would help kind of fill the old gaps in the deck boards that were just make it look a little bit newer. It was not going to look like a brand new deck, but it was definitely going to look 1,000 times better, and it definitely did. After the deck was all painted, I knew I needed to add some skirting to it, so I cut these fence boards to size and made sure they followed the slope of the ground so nothing was getting underneath them to live under the deck. And then everything got a fresh coat of that same paint, and this is how the deck turned out, and that officially completed the exterior makeover. My first project back inside the house was this pantry. I knew that I couldn't add any size to the pantry, but I thought that I could make it function a lot better. So I removed all the wire shelving, and then I added these wood supports on the back and the sides, making sure that I secured them into studs. And then I used MDF and cut it to size, and then I painted it because it's so much easier to paint things before they go in when you're doing built-ins or a closet or something. And while those dried, the wall got a fresh coat of paint, and then I added in the shelves, did some little custom things at the bottom so the garbage can and different things that I needed would fit. And then I added some trim to the front to make sure that I finished those edges of the MDF. And then I painted in that same Lauriston Stone color that I loved. I painted the pantry door that color, added a little light at the top, and that finished off this pantry makeover. A quick and easy project, but so much better than before. Then it was time for my next biggest project of the year, and that was the stairs. Oh my goodness, this was so much work, but so worth it. So the first thing I did was remove this light fixture that was on the side, and I ran new wiring and added a light at the top of the stairwell, which just made a lot more sense to me. And after lots and lots of drywall repair, then I was finally ready to start painting the stairwell. So I used the same white paint combination that I used in the rest of my home's interior to do the ceiling and the walls, and I removed this banister, and then it was time for demo. My kids helped out with this part. I knew that I wanted to open things up. You can see here already it's going to look so much more open. You can see straight to the living room when you come in the front door. So I just did some reframing, had to remove the old framing that was there, completely rethink that, and again, more drywall work, which is really not my favorite, but needed to be done to make this look seamless and look like it had always been this way. And then I used a 4x4 to make my own newel post for the end of the stair rail here, and added back these little wood pieces that'll make everything look nice and smooth, cover up my framing. And then I needed some trim to go in between the drywall and those wood pieces just to make everything look seamless and nice and neat and professional. And so I decided to paint these newel posts the same white as the walls and the risers, and everything will match completely like that. But that took a little while to do and make those decisions. And then I went in with the oak banisters. This was also a learning curve for me to try to get the angles right and make sure everything was up to code, but we got there in the end, and those got a few coats of stain to make sure that they could match the floor as close as I could possibly get. And then it was time for the balusters. So I had to drill holes, lots of math involved drilling the holes for the top and the bottom, and then installed the balusters. With the railing done, I could have stopped there and it would have been so much better than before, but I was ready to tackle these stairs. So I removed the carpet and all of the little tack strips that went along with that, and then I made my own risers for the stairs out of MDF panels and cut those to size and installed all of those with some glue and my nail gun. And then I cut all of the treads to size, each one individually, and then had lots of issues staining them to try to get them to match, but I think we got there in the end. And I installed those with glue, construction adhesive, and nails, and this is how the stairs turned out. It was time to move upstairs to the bedrooms and bathrooms. This is my son's room before. The first thing that I did in his room was go through and paint all of the walls a deep blue navy color. That's what he wanted. And then I changed his sliding closet doors to be able to open like French doors so he could access all of his clothes and all of his toys that he keeps in there. I'm not really sure why anyone puts the sliding doors in, because you can only see half your closet at one time. Anyway, I added some trim to the windows, which I really loved how it popped against this blue, and added a rug, which really, I think, made the entire room, and some other decor and some other little projects that I didn't show in this video. And this is how his room turned out. Is my daughter's room, and the first thing that I did in her room was build some built-in bookshelves. She has lots of books, lots of things that she wants to display, and so I added arches to the tops of those and installed them and really secured those to the wall. And then I painted them this light green color that I thought would be fun. We were going for a green and pink kind of look in her room. And then this was my first time ever using peel and stick wallpaper. It was a lot of fun, and I think it's super fun for a young girl's room. And then I did some board and batten to the bottom where her bed is going to go and painted it that same green color as the built-ins. And then it was time to add in the pink after that. So the walls all got a coat of, it's called Intimate White by Sherwin Williams, but it's actually a really light pink color. And then we added even more pink in all of the accessories, in the curtains, and I love these little sconces that we did on either side of her dresser, and this is how her room turned out. Alright, my last makeover for 2022 was this guest bedroom. And the first thing that I did in this room was go through and give everything a coat of white paint to really brighten up this space. After I was done with the primer coat, I decided that I wanted to replace the closet doors in this room. I was going to leave them sliding because, again, this is just a guest bedroom, so it doesn't have to be, the closet doesn't have to be accessed quite as much, but I wanted the doors to be a little bit nicer, a little bit more of a feature. And then I trimmed out all of the windows. This room has 3 windows, and I really wanted to highlight that. So I trimmed out all of the windows, and then I added this bead board on this back wall, and I put that around the window trim. And I'm gonna go in with an accent color, and it's called Jogging Path, and I really like the contrast it made against the white of the walls while still being neutral and calming and not standing out too much, because I want this space to be relaxing for guests but also stylish too. And after all of the painting and all of the trim work, I wanted to add in some cozy elements, so rugs and blankets and candles and lamps, and that finished off this guest room, and this is how it turned out. And that's it. That's a wrap for this year. Make sure that you let me know down in the comments which makeover was your favorite. Thanks so much for sticking with me throughout this year, guys. I appreciate all of your support, and I will see you in 2023. Bye.